Hi guys, and welcome to part 52 of Skyrim Mod Sanctuary. Now in this episode I'm going to cover a mod called Enhanced Lights and FX. And this is a mod that's come out fairly recently and is already storming the top files lists. And it is well deserving of its newfound status. Now this is a lighting mod for interiors, and it is aimed at making the interior lighting look a lot more realistic and a lot more immersive. As you can see from these shots, it makes it a little bit more atmospheric. It increases the shadows, reduces the ambient lighting, generally makes things look quite a lot better without actually being game changing. It doesn't make it an awful lot darker. You can still see without any problems. But the devil is in the details, and it is in the details that this mod really shows its greatness, and that is what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to try and show you some of the details that made me think this mod is a must-have mod for me. Now, here is a scene without any lighting mod whatsoever, and as you can see, there's a lot of ambient light. There are a few candles on the enchanting desk, but that's really it, and yet the room is massively well lit with sort of almost an extreme white light. But with this mod, as you can still see visibility is still fine. There is still some ambient light, but it's not blinding, it's not overpowering. He's also added 2 candles to the desks, which add sort of a real feeling of warmth and realism. And they add a sort of slight flickering flame light, which is really nice. But he's not just added new light sources to places where appropriate. He's actually made existing lights have a light source. I know that doesn't necessarily sound instinctive, but a lot of the lights in Skyrim are ornamental. They don't give off any light. This candle, for example, it looks like it's giving off light, it's got a flame, but it doesn't actually have any light. If you look at the flickering on the wall, it's all very even because it comes from the fire behind. However, with this mod, if you look at the pillar where the candle is attached, you'll notice it now flickers in a different way to the surrounding wall. Now this is obviously a very subtle shift, and it's one that you really have to be looking for. But this is not always the case. Sometimes it's amazingly obvious. If you look at our mystery man here, as you can see, he's backlit from behind by the large fire, but there is a candle in front of him, and yet his face is shrouded in shadow. His chest plate has no light bouncing off it worth mentioning, and it's a little disconcerting. There's something off with the image. But with this mod installed, as you can see, not only are the shadows in the back a little deeper, his face is now lit up, his breastplate now has light bouncing off it, and the whole scene looks a lot more realistic. Now, the more observant of you may have noticed another little detail that's been added. Did you notice it? Let's check again. Let's have a look at the vanilla scene. And now the modded scene. Did you notice? Yep, the candle actually has smoke rising up from it, which I think is a really nice touch. It adds, I don't know, that sort of the smoky room, the little bit of ambience that is, you don't notice it at first. You could walk past it, but for some reason it adds that little touch of mystery, that little touch of actually being there. So all around, this mod has made this scene look a lot better. It makes the shadows being thrown by the furniture a lot more believable. It makes the lighting more believable. It adds these little details like smoke, and the fact that the light hanging from the ceiling is actually lit by the candles it's holding. Little details like that really do add to the immersion. But I've left the best detail till last. Now in this scene here, I have used the console to essentially accelerate time. Day and night are going to pass very quickly. Now, if you notice right there, the window is changing in light. It's now nighttime. It's went from day to night. But you'll also notice that in the room, nothing else really changed. There's no sort of light shift inside the room. And when it changes back from night to day, again, still no change. Now watch the same thing, but with this mod installed. As you can see, the bright sunlight outside is massively lighting up those beams, and as it fades, as evening drops, and then nighttime comes, it goes away. And you now have just the light, this little bit of ambient light, perhaps some moonlight and starlight, but generally a lot darker than during the day. And once the sun rises, those beams are once more flooded with sunlight. And to me, this is the true strength of this mod. It gives you a sense of time when inside a building. As long as that building has a window or some other way for the light to come in, you can get a sense of what time of day it is from being in the building, which I think is, that is amazing. That is the thing that really distinguishes this mod for me. One question that is bound to come up is, will this mod work with the lighting mods? And the answer is yes. You can see here, I'm getting this to work with Project Reality without any problems whatsoever. Be warned, with most of these lighting mods make the game a tiny bit darker in interiors anyway, because they generally do reduce ambient light. With this mod as well, you'll get that effect emphasized. You can still see quite clearly, and it does look superb, but be aware of that. If you're the sort of person who doesn't like dark corners, mixing these two mods is possibly a bad idea. Of course, most of the lighting mods, including Project Reality, allow you to install a vanilla version on interiors, and so you could actually use that alongside this mod. And another question that will be asked is, how does it affect performance? Now, I noticed no change on my system, but my system's fairly high-end. Most of these changes, or in fact all of the changes, are in interiors, and I have massive frame rates on interiors anyway, and so always hit my cap. So I didn't notice any problems, but of course this mod does add new light sources, and so theoretically it may affect your performance. However, I did not notice any drop whatsoever. Installing this mod is easy as usual. Just go along to the Nexus Mod Manager, go along to the File section, and click Download with Manager on the Enhanced Lights and FX file, and activate. If you are using the Skyrim Mesh Improvement mod, SMIM, you should also download this file and activate that as well. Now, for load order, the mod author says you should put this right at the end. Enhanced Lights and FX.esp should come at the end of your load order. Boss places it somewhere up in the middle of mine, above Project Reality. Now, I'm going to trust the mod author in this case and move it down to the bottom, because that, to be honest, does make sense. This should override any changes made by your lighting mods anyway, because you want this to take precedence. So I would have this at the bottom. Always check the mod author's instructions. He may change that, but currently put it last. Okay, well, that's it for this video. As usual, I'm going to end with some screenshots that you guys have posted. If you want to post screenshots for me to showcase in these videos, you're more than welcome, and I will put a link down below, and you just go along, post them there, and I will include as many of them as I can in my videos. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, please remember, click the like button. I always appreciate that. I look forward to seeing you guys in whichever video you join me for next. And until then, as always, have fun.